Welcome to AMP, the platform for age group multisport athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome along to episode 49 of the Age Group Multisport podcast with me, Richard Conway. And on this episode, we speak to Dave Brown. Having played football all his life, started getting knee injuries and had to have surgery on his knee, which led him to taking up cycling as a recovery tool. And he found out that he liked cycling so much that he wanted to do more of it. And as well as cycling to and from work, he also did a few sportives to help his knee recovery. And with that, and decided to race a couple of duathlons. And he's not looked back since. He's been steadily making progress. It was 2018 he said he'd started, so relatively new to the sport. But he's got to the level of age group. So fascinating story. Just shows you what can happen. One door closes and another one opens, and that's pretty much what happened to Dave. Also, we discuss, he mentioned in his email about getting sponsorship for his age group tri-suit. So we delve into that a little bit. It's not something that we've spoken of before. So that's quite an interesting listen to find out how Dave managed to get sponsors for his tri-suit, and in turn helping him with his training and also funding this quite expensive sport that we all do. So that's coming up. Hope you enjoy that one. Hope the sponsorship discussion gives you food for thought. And if you've got any thoughts on sponsorship, drop us an email or a message and just share what you've done and how you've managed to fund your racing. And on that, there's also things like ambassadorships. And as you've heard on this podcast previously, I'm an ambassador for Athletica AI, the platform that plans your training. That's another way that you can get help by becoming an ambassador. I know there's quite a few of the age groupers that are ambassadors for various brands, and basically what we do is just put on our social media that we're ambassadors for these brands and give them a bit of our time basically. And for that, on my instance, in my case, I get free training plans off Athletica AI. Jamie Price, who was on episode 16, has just started working for a cycling and triathlon clothing company called Preska, and I'd follow Jamie on Instagram, and it was great to see that he'd got a job with this company. So he got in touch and asked me would I be interested in doing a bit of a collab with them. And to be honest, I don't usually do. I'm not sponsored, it's not funded, but I said I'd be interested in having a chat with Jamie. So we had a FaceTime call. And I always like to help out, especially with guys who've been on the podcast. They've helped me out by coming on, so I really do like to return the favour. So watch this space with Preska, see what happens. I wish Jamie all the best, and if I can help him in any way, I'm only too pleased to do so. Coming up also at this weekend is the Clumber Duathlon, and I know there's lots of my old guests racing. I'm going to do a big shout out now for them. We've got Andy Biggs, Tim Fowler, Christina Dove, Dave, who's actually on this podcast racing, Lisa Gawthorne, Mark Shepherd, Sarah Harding, and James Lee. So they're all racing. So good luck, guys. Smash it. It is a European qualifier for the sprint, and I believe it's a world qualifier for the standard. So good luck. I was supposed to be doing it, but obviously with the crash I had, this is my 5th week now. That's not going to happen. I've cancelled. Clumber Park's not going to be a race that I'm going to attend, so I'm going to go along and support, because I've also got teammates from my tri club that are going to be racing there, which include Den Lynch, Steve and Joe Hunt, who are doing relays, Karen Hames, who was also on the podcast, Paul and Ruth, who are also doing a team relay, and Phil Jackson, who's doing the standard, and his wife Ross, who's doing the sprint. So good luck, guys. We'll be there supporting you, and I'm sure you're going to smash it. Hope I haven't missed anybody out that's racing at Clumber. And if you've got a race this weekend, guys, good luck, smash it. But most of all, do it with a smile on your face and really, really enjoy it. You've trained hard for it. Good luck. My injury's coming on. It's I'm in my 5th week now. Just gone back to work this week. Just light duties, really, cutting grass. Still haven't got on the bike or been out for a run or a swim. I'm still sore around my back and my ribs, so I think I'll give it another week. There's nothing pressing, so yeah, we'll just see how it goes and take it easy. So on to the main event. I hope you enjoyed Dave's story, and we shall see you on the other side.
Hi, you okay?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm good.
Good. Thank you ever so much for agreeing to do this and going to come on and share your story.
No, that's fine. It's good. Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Just been listening to some, actually.
Yeah. So where do we find you in the world?
I am in Torbay in Devon.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, good place for training because I'm right by the sea. I've got Dartmoor sort of 20 miles away. So yeah, I'm quite lucky with where I live. There seems to be quite a lot of quite strong triathletes in the area. There seems to be a bit of a hotbed of talent around here.
Well, that's nice to have, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's nice in the summer, especially. It's bit not so much fun in the winter.
Well, it isn't anywhere, is it, really?
No.
So if you just want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your sporting background growing up, and then we can take it from there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Torbay. I moved down from Surrey when I was little, so I think I was about 3. Moved down with my parents, my sister. Lived opposite a massive park. So I used to go over there and watch football. Football team played over there. So yeah, my main background is football. I started playing when I was at primary school, and played all the way up, mostly just for local teams, right up until sort of 5 years ago, so 2017.
Right.
When my knee had sort of had enough of running around on dodgy pitches and being kicked about by people. And so yeah, I had to have an operation on my knee, which was just sort of for cartilage damage. That kind of ended my football days. I could have carried on playing, but whenever I played, I would be sort of in pain for a couple of days, 2 or 3 days. It would be swollen and achy, and I just thought, this isn't worth it. I've always kept myself fit, and I was sort of losing fitness by playing. I'd be able to play on a Saturday and then not be able to do anything until about Thursday. And then
not good, is it?
No, so I thought, oh, this isn't great. And yeah, my surgeon had told me to cycle if I could as part of my rehab. So cycling was something I'd only ever really done as a kid, to be honest, just sort of cycling around with my mates. So I just bought a cheap bike, just thought, I'll just go to Halford and get a cheap bike, and started cycling sort of 10 miles into work for my night shift. So I was cycling in at sort of 11 o'clock at night, coming home at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, just 10 miles each way. And yeah, thought, oh, I quite like this. So upgraded my bike to a road bike. The first one I bought was a Halford Special hybrid one. Used the cycle to work scheme, got myself a road bike, made a few sort of cycling friends with a few guys at work, cycled. As I say, I'm sort of 20 miles from Dartmoor. So I was up and around there, did a couple of sportives. I think Dartmoor Demon was my first sportive. And then a Dartmoor Classic, which is quite well known, and more to see, which is 112 miles, 12,000 foot of climbing. So yeah, I got into that, and then once my knee had sort of settled down, cycling helped massively. I thought I'll get back into a little bit of running, and just did a couple of park runs at Torbay. Knew a few of the guys from my local tri clubs at Torbay Tri. Banged out a couple of sort of quite decent park runs to say I wasn't a runner. I ran to keep fit playing football, but no, not ever done a proper run session or structured run. And got hassled to sort of join my local tri club. So I joined them the back end of 2018.
Right. So recently, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty recently. Yeah. So I'd never done a race. I did do one half marathon actually, which I just thought, I think it was about 2015. I did Torbay half marathon because it's a summer race. So I thought, oh, that would just keep me fit during my footy pre-season. I think I did no real training or anything. I ran it just, I think, 1:33.
Very good.
And for me, that was like pretty good. I thought I'm never going to beat that. I'm not a runner. I don't do any run training, nothing. So yeah, I joined the Tri Club and training with them, a couple of run sessions a week, a couple of bike sessions a week. I was still cycling, doing from work. A couple of swim sessions with them as well, and did my swimming's. I think most duathletes will say they're in duathlon because their swimming's not great. So yeah, that's the reason I got into duathlon. I did my first one, just a local one in Torbay, and finished in the top 10. And thought, oh, so I really enjoyed it. I thought, oh, it's something I really enjoy. Did a couple of triathlons as well. My first ever triathlon, I finished in the top 10. Again, that was a local one. I just missed out on a podium place there as well. That's my first try. I went the wrong way going into the finish, ran into transition, ran back into transition instead of the finishing funnel. That cost me a podium place. So that kind of gave me a bit of a bug to like, oh, I'm gonna start getting some podiums.
Yeah.
It escalated really quickly. I did, as I say, 2 or 3 duathlons and got a couple of tries and was finishing in and around the top 10. And a couple of the club guys race age groups racing for Great Britain.
So that's how you found out about the age group then?
Yeah, so there's a couple that do triathlon, one does a quathlon. So they were telling me I needed to go to duathlon qualifier.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh, not really at that level. I've done like 3 races. I went up to a race in Exeter, just started 2020 in January. It was just like a New Year 5-mile race. So I went up there, I had a race, bumped into a guy called Phil Wiley, who I'm sure a lot of duathletes will know. He's quite well known in the duathlon world. So he just moved to the area and as a duathlon coach, and he's won all sorts of world champs and everything. Bumped into him at the race, and he was asking, just seeing I had my Torbay Tri stuff on, asked if I did duathlon. I was like, oh, I do actually. I had quite a good race, spoke to him after, and met him a week later. He'd sort of been through my results and had a look at sort of how far I'd progressed in what was just over a year really. And he was pretty confident that, yeah, if I worked alongside him, that he could get me a GB vest pretty much. He thought I could be at that standard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it came around sort of quite quickly. And within 2 months then, I went up to a World Champs qualifier up at Bedford.
Yeah.
Finished 4th in my age category and qualified. So that was March 2020. I think it was literally about 2 weeks before that first lockdown.
Yeah. And what is your age group category, David?
For the next 2 months, I'm 35 to 39.
Right, okay.
I've got a big birthday coming up in May and a new age category. See, I've only ever raced in that age category. I was 36, I think, when I did my first race. So yeah, new age category coming up.
Cool. So at least you'll be the youngest in the age category then, so that'll be bonus.
Yeah. I remember actually when I played football, when I passed 35, you could go and play vets league.
Right.
So there's a local 7-a-side vets league, and I think I played the day after my 35th birthday, and they absolutely kicked the hell out of me. I was like a little whippersnapper. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I'm not used to being the youngest on the pitch. So yeah, hopefully they're a bit nicer in that age category than they were when I moved.
I'm sure they will be. Yeah. It'll be still as competitive, but shouldn't be any fisticuffs.
It seems more competitive actually, looking at it over because I race sprint distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be more competitive at sort of age group level. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's to get to, like you said, to get into the age group, because there's only 20 places per age group, isn't there?
Yeah.
You know, and first, like you said, first 4 qualify, and then everything else is a roll down. But you've still got to be within a percentage of the winner of your race. Yeah. It is not an easy thing to do. But
no, I was going to go up to Mallory Park. I was due to do the qualifier up there a couple of weeks ago, but I said to you when we spoke initially, I fractured my shoulder blade.
Yes, how's that going?
January. Yeah, that's recovering really well actually. So it's been 7 weeks, just shy of 7 weeks.
And what happened there? I know you had a bike accident. What was the?
So I was cycling around we've got a velo park in Torbay that I've cycled around over 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And I was doing a session down there, just some race pace efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I'd actually changed my bike. I got a new bike and thought I'll test it out down the velo park, and was doing sort of an hour session with some race pace efforts. And the first sort of race pace effort lap, there's a couple of hairpin bends on the track.
Right.
On the hairpin bend, as I've leant into the corner, I pedalled too soon. Right. My pedal has just clipped the ground, and that was enough just to topple me over. Obviously, I landed on my shoulder, and yeah, I didn't realise till after that the crank arms on my new bike are a couple of millimeters longer than my other bike. So that is where I went wrong.
Yeah.
But I know that now.
You won't lean over quite as much.
I'm hoping not. I'm going to race there on Sunday. There's a race on Sunday down there, duathlon. Mm-hmm. So I'm still struggling a little bit to mount and dismount just because of the position. But just in terms of getting a race under my belt, it'll be a useful little. So yeah, I'm just going to have to be a bit careful mounting and dismounting and cornering.
Well, good luck. Yeah, good luck with that.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm just going to sit upright going around the corners, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Forget about aero position.
Yeah.
So you got your coach, and that spurred you on to go and qualify at Bedford. You got your fourth spot. And what was that qualifying for?
So that was for the 2021 World Championships.
Right.
Which initially I think was in Townsville in Australia.
Is it Almere then? They were
Where, sorry?
Almere in Holland?
Yes. Yeah. I think it was Australia before Almere, and then Almere.
I think it was Almere, then Australia, and then.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I believe
it changed so much, didn't it?
Yeah, 3. Yeah, and then it ended up in Alvils, because obviously Townsville was a lockdown.
Yeah.
So they'd binned it, and then it was Spain. So I think that's how it was.
Yeah. So yeah, it ended up. I didn't get to race till November. 2021. So it seemed an absolute age from qualifying to actually doing the race. Much later, I'd have been in a completely different age category, as we just said.
Yeah, well, there is that, but I think they've been pretty good actually, honouring people's races with everything that's gone on over the last couple of years and moving things around. You know, it's been pretty well done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was amazing to get it on, really.
Yeah, considering they didn't know what was going on, and the complications of it all. So
No,
so
definitely.
how did you find the whole experience then once you'd actually got to get to a race?
Yeah, I absolutely loved everything about it. So I went up with a few guys that I knew locally that had qualified. So yeah, we all went up together, flew out together, and I very nearly didn't go because I'd had COVID in sort of end of August,
Right.
and it floored me for a good month. About sort of 2 to 3 weeks, I was pretty much in bed, and then another 10 days where I was just absolutely fatigued. So I was off work for a good month. So I very nearly didn't go, and Phil, my coach, because I'd not done one before.
Yeah.
He encouraged me to do it, and with the sort of outlook that it's my first one, so I can go. I'm not going to be at my best, probably not as sort of at my peak as I would like to be, but go figure out what it's all about, make my sort of mistakes. It's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it? Once you get there. So yeah, I didn't put too much pressure on myself going into the race, and approached it with that sort of mindset of I'll go and see what it's about, have a crack. My aim, to be honest, was just not to be last initially.
Yeah,
and
I mean, that's it. I mean, your coach was bang on, money, because all right, you're not going to probably be competitive as you wanted to be, but it's that you can't buy that experience, can you? So
that's it.
To go and experience it now, and you can just go and relax and enjoy it, knowing that you're not going to be that as competitive as you want to be. That'll help in future appearances, won't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it went better than I thought. I wasn't last. I finished 19th, which was in the top third.
Yeah.
So I ran a 5K on that first 5K, which was Phil's instruction in the morning. His instruction, I had a message from him saying all I want from you today is a 5K PB.
Right.
So run a 5K PB and worry about the bike when you get to it, which I did. I had a really good run. And then the bike leg was 2 laps. So it was 20K, so 2 lots of 10K. Out of transition, I worked really hard on that run to stay in a bunch so I could come out of transition because it's a draft legal race.
Of course, yeah. How did you find that?
Well, I'm not that experienced at it, and I do tend to, even in the qualifiers, when I qualified, I found myself in no man's land on the first run. And sort of where the group in front are a little bit too quick, and the group behind, it doesn't pay me to drop back. So I pushed myself. That's how I got my 5K PB, I guess, was like I was a bit bolder and thought, no, I'm not letting this bunch get away. So I did really well on that first one, was really pleased. But when I came out of transition, we'd all sort of somehow managed to get split up. So I ended up on my own. I ended up in no man's land on the bike, really.
Yeah.
So pretty much the first lap, so the first half of the bike leg, I was on my own. And then I was feeling like I'd run a 5K PB. My legs were absolutely hanging off. I was making some serious sort of life questions. And then eventually I got caught by a group. One of my mates was in the group and he started shouting at me. It's like, get on, get on, get on. So managed to get into the bunch. And that absolutely saved my race, really, because the second half of the bike, I was just able to tuck in. Didn't take any turns on the front. I was quite selfish in that respect. I was like, I've done my work. And yeah, so that second half, I think that's probably the first time I've raced where I've really felt the benefit of a draft legal race. And I was sat in, my heart rate dropped, my speed picked up, and from that moment, I just really enjoyed it more than any other race, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same. I love the draft legal because of that. You're in a group and you can take your turns. You know, if you're in a group to begin with, you can all work together and take your turns, and or you like, you know, if you're not feeling great, you can just sit on the back and, you know, because you know you've got another run to come.
Yeah, that's it.
But it's about getting in that group, and that's to save yourself.
That's
really.
it. Yeah,
there's nothing worse than being in no man's land, and I think my experience is that if I do find myself in that place where I'm never going to catch I will wait for a group to come through, you know, regardless of the time, because it's just saves you time in the long run, I believe.
Yeah, it does, definitely. And I think I realised the benefit of it until that race.
Yeah.
I think I learned more in that one race than probably all of my other previous races. Yeah. And racing guys that know that and know how to race draft legal racing at that level, that did really help. Yeah. And I seem to be quite strong off the bike when I run off the bike. Whenever I look at my times in a race, I'm always quite near the top, if not the quickest sort of off the bike, which means either I'm strong off the bike or I'm not working hard enough in the rest of the race.
Yeah, but if you're in the front group, you don't have to, do you? You know what I mean? It's
no, exactly.
Irrelevant, really. So
exactly. So yeah, so I think I came into transition with eight others, and out of transition with 8 others, and then I managed to beat all of those guys on the second run. So that's helped me as well going forward. I will back myself. So yeah, it's a lot more tactical than I realised, and like you say, you've got to position yourself in the race, haven't you? And
you have,
look at the bigger picture as opposed to just banging out as hard as you can all the way through. It is, it's a lot more tactical than I realised, and I've still only done, I think that was possibly my 6th, 5th draft legal race. So it's taken a little bit getting used to.
Yeah. Cool. So what was after that then? Once you'd, I noticed in your message you'd qualified for Bilbao. How did that come about?
So all of the qualifiers were actually cancelled for Bilbao.
Right.
Because obviously the qualifiers were in 2020.
Yeah.
So none of the qualifiers went ahead. So you just had to submit your result. So the result that I had at Bedford, which qualified me for the World Champs, I submitted that for the European Champs, which is in Bilbao, and that got me a qualifying place. So that was a bonus because I got to go to 2 events, qualified for 2 events off the back of 1 race.
Excellent.
So that was a bonus.
Yeah. So that's in September, yeah?
So that's in September, yeah. So that's what this year is really geared up for. I'll do qualify next year's World and Europeans, although I've had to miss the first couple. So as I said, I would have raced Mallory Park and Alton Park, which is Sunday. Yeah. But I'm definitely not in a shape at the minute. And as I say, my transition's not going to. So that still leaves me Thruxton, I think, in October, which is a few weeks after Bilbao. So I'm hoping I'll be in decent shape coming out of Bilbao, that I can go to Thruxton and get it done. And then I'll do the European Champs, I think Clumber Park in April.
Yes.
So I think that's realistic. So that's what I'm sort of working at the minute. There's a couple of local duathlons. There's one in Torbay on Sunday, and there's another one up sort of Exeter way a couple of weeks later. So that will give me a little bit of race sharpness, hopefully, to take to Clumber Park. My plan was to do March, April, get them done and dusted for the year, and then focus on sort of getting ready for Bilbao. But then that hasn't quite panned out like that.
The thing is, it is what it is, and you don't, like you've said, you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself. You've got plenty of years to come, so
hopefully.
If it doesn't happen this year, there's always like next year and every other year after. So it's a bit disappointing, I think, especially when you have qualified for the first time as well, and it's
definitely. And I think
you get the bug.
Yeah, and my race result in Spain gave me the confidence to know that I can go and I can push myself.
Absolutely, yeah.
Enough that I'm confident I can qualify again. Yeah, and I think there's always going to be setbacks, isn't there? As an athlete, you're never going to go into a race with perfect preparation. There's always setbacks. And I think when you're injured or you have a setback, it feels like you're the only one that's out training, don't you, and racing and getting their results, and you think, oh no, it's horrible.
It's all part of it. It's all part of it.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it definitely is, and yeah, you learn a lot from it.
Yeah.
I was back in the gym 2 days after I broke my shoulder blade. That's how keen I was. I was like, I'm getting on those recumbent bikes where you sit right back. So I was down in the gym, sat on those recumbent bikes a couple of days after.
Well, I think the other thing you've got to think about is that you've only just really started, and you've got a decent coach. You've got massive amount of progression to do. So if you're qualifying now, with all your setbacks and stuff, the ability that you've got now, just think what it's going to be like in next year and the year after, and in 5 years' time, it's it's just going to get stronger and stronger. I think that's the thing that you've got to focus on. Look at the long game. There's guys doing it. Well, there's guys doing it at 80, guys and girls doing it at 80. So that's the way I look at it now. I mean, I've pulled my calf and then I pulled my other calf, so I've had two calf injuries at the beginning of this year, and then so I haven't been able to run very much. So it's like, well, it is what it is. I'm doing Alton Park on Sunday just to see where I am. I've done a few park runs and my time's nowhere near what it was, so it is what it is. And if you're not up there at the minute, then you've just got to work a bit harder and try and get there, haven't you? And hopefully you don't get injured again.
Yeah, definitely, that's it, and that's the plan this weekend. Just like you said, just see where I'm at. It'd be a good benchmark to see where I am.
That's it.
I think quite often you have these setbacks, and then you because I've had hamstring issues, like COVID and whatnot last year, so I think generally surprise myself when you come back, surprise yourself, sort of the fitness that you have built up.
I mean, people,
isn't it? It's that race.
That's right. That's exactly right. People forget about the base fitness that you've actually got. That doesn't go away quickly.
No,
it's there. You've got it. You've built it up. You've had the.
Feels like it for about a week, doesn't it? When you.
It's gutted, isn't it? You know what I mean? And it's like, but you've got that consistency, the hours and hours that you've put in. That doesn't diminish. It's just your top end speed or whatever might not be there, or your endurance isn't what it was, but that comes back. Especially when you're working and you've got it's all, I always say it's all about a lifestyle. This is what we do. It's a lifestyle. Whether you qualify or you don't qualify, you'll still be doing it.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, and I'm quite lucky. I've got the opportunity to probably race 3 times before I go to Clumber Park. So that's going to be a massive help. Sunday.
I'm sure it'll all fall into place, and you'll be absolutely fine.
I hope so. Yeah.
I noticed in your email that you'd done quite well on the sponsorship front with John Lewis and Waitrose and Sundried, and just give us I think it's not something that we've talked about before. So I don't know whether a lot of people, unless they are age groupers, realise that you can actually put sponsorship on your kit. Tell us how that's come about for you. Obviously, being quite new to it all, how did you go about deciding what you were going to put on, and what benefits did you get from those?
I was quite lucky with the John Lewis and Waitrose one in that I work for them. So I work for Waitrose, so that helps. So they have a bursary. I think it's called Bursary for the Pursuit of Excellence.
Right.
So if you're competing at national or international level, you submit an application. They open the applications twice a year. So you submit your application, and then they'll fund you.
Brilliant.
So I got quite a nice lot of funding from them.
Yeah.
I've got to do my application again, actually, for, I think it's March and September, the applications. So yeah, that, it's just, obviously I worked there, so that was really good, but it opened my eyes into sort of what else is available to age groupers. And then again, probably some of the guys listening, some of the other age groupers might know Stephanie at Sunshine Nutrition.
Right.
So she's based in London, and we teamed up. We kind of found each other through Instagram.
Okay.
And yeah, we struck up a collab. So Stephanie's been amazing. She's given me loads of nutritional plans, loads of advice. She's just given me which I'm trialing as of today, like a three-day race plan.
Okay.
So all my nutrition is planned for 3 days going into a race, plus my race day, my recovery. My day-to-day nutrition we worked on when we first sort of met, which was just coming up for a year ago. And yeah, she's been amazing. She's really helped. And again, when I'm injured and can't train, I can ping her sort of different questions. And like when I was in the World Champs, I got cramp coming off the bike, so we had a look at that and tweaked a few different things. It's been amazing. So Sunshine Nutrition, she's on my race suit. Her logo, which is nice and yellow, it looks really good on the on the tri-suit. And then I've also got my local leisure centre, which they're a chain, leisurecentre.com. They're sort of all over the place. They do a promising athlete program. Okay. And they posted and sort of approached the club. As I said, we've got a few GB age groupers at Torbay Tri. And I thought, can I be classed as a promising athlete at 39?
Young in age group.
Exactly. Like you say, it's quite young, isn't it?
It is, yeah, very.
So yeah, I applied for that and got put on the promising athlete program at Torbay Leisure Centre. So that's given me sort of complete full free membership. So they've got like a multi-story gym, the pool, which coming back from my shoulder injury has been great because I'm swimming twice a week. Health suite, which again, like using the sauna and steam room when I was injured, was amazing. So I could just sit in the heat, sort of helped. They've got a velo park down there as well, so you can get on the cycle track. So yeah, I get all of that included as well. So that's really good. And I think all the leisurecentre.coms do that. And they've got one in Paynton, one in Torquay, so I've got access to both sites.
Excellent.
So yeah, I can just.
You can't buy that. That's invaluable. I know my tri-suit. I've got my local leisure centre on. I approached them and asked them, would the, for a bit of sponsorship, would they let me use the leisure centre for free? And I got a good year out of them. It's invaluable, isn't it? And it's just.
It's amazing, yeah. And I didn't realise how much was actually out there. You've got to sort of get the ball rolling yourself a lot of the times, but it's surprising by sending different emails off to different places, what is actually out there. Because the leisure centre then pointed me towards Believe to Achieve grant, which the local council do. So I've just submitted my application for that. They approached Torbay Leisure Centre asking if there was anyone. They obviously knew they had this promising athlete program. So now I've just submitted an application for a Believe to Achieve grant, which again you fill out your application on your costs and everything, and yeah, they'll give you a grant towards it or contribution towards it.
Excellent. Well, it all helps, doesn't it? It all adds up. So because it is
massively. And I think with you can use social media quite cleverly as well, can't you? And you can, that's how Stephanie came about. We sort of came across each other on there, and yeah, I think there's lots of ways, lots of opportunities, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's not really widely talked about or discussed that there are opportunities like that, and they all help, because this isn't it's not a cheap sport, is it, to do, especially when you get to traveling all over the world. So everything helps. I mean, I've talked about this several times. I'm an ambassador for Athletica AI, which provides a computerized training plan.
Okay.
And it's done by Paul Larson, who wrote the book on HIT sessions.
Yeah.
He's Canadian. I've had him on the podcast, and I've always done my own plans and things, and never really been coached.
Yeah.
And that's just brilliant. It's just so good. And with being an ambassador, I talk about it on the podcast, and obviously I'll mention it on Instagram and
yeah.
It's like you scratch my back and I'll scratch your sort of thing. So it does help and work. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. I was just going to say, it would be nice if there was something that, like a centre or whatever, that you could actually just go to and get advice and help, and maybe it's, if somebody's listening out, or maybe they could do with something like setting something up, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think there is scope for that, definitely.
Yeah,
because I think there is a lot you can offer.
Yeah,
different companies in that, can't you? As an age group athlete, you can get them the publicity.
Yeah, especially locally with the press that will be interested in you appearing as a GB athlete, age group GB athlete. There's the interest in there is massive, isn't it? It's got to be.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did a piece to have a weekly publication, the John Lewis Gazette, and they did a good piece on me.
Yeah.
So I was on the back page of that. And, like you say, local press, and it's really good. And I think just local companies love to sort of have a GB athlete.
Absolutely, yeah.
For
not much money.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Fabulous. Right, so well, good luck with your race at the weekend, and good luck with Bilbao. Hopefully I might see you there, because I'm going down. Well, I'm going over as well.
Cool.
I've qualified. Got to pay for that. Have you paid yours already?
I paid it the other day. Yeah, I think the deadline's
tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, I've got to pay for that, so must remember. So I think we're about on to the quick fire questions, and the first one I always go with is, what's your favourite bit of kit?
Tri-suit, to be honest.
I like it. Most people say the bike, so that's a refreshing change.
My bike's not my friend at the minute because I fell off it, so it probably will be. But I bought that and I've hardly rode it. I think like it's the pride, I guess, from the tri-suit. I've got my sponsors on there that we just discussed. I've only worn it twice. I wore it at the Celebration Cup and then out in Spain, but I'll obviously wear it in Bilbao.
Yeah, sure.
And then it'll be going, because they've brought new ones out, haven't they?
We can wear the old one this year, and then next year it's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did you think of the new one?
Yeah, I like it. It looks good. It's a bit more like the training kit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've got a fair bit of the training kit, and it sort of matches that quite nicely.
I think it goes back, for me, I liked it as well. I think they could have put a bit more of the GB flag in it, but I think it goes back to what they originally were, a darker blue, and similar to what the elite wear, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Which is nice.
So that'll be going in a frame, I think.
So what resources have you found that have been useful for you since you started Multisport? And that can be anything. It can be books, can be websites, can be YouTube, whatever. What do you use?
I use Instagram a lot. And I think I stumbled across athletes that I now raced with and race against and stuff. And I think just using the hashtags on Instagram, that's helped me massively. That's helped. So it does help motivate me for training, and you can sort of follow people's journeys on there. There's different sort of training techniques and stuff. Just so much on there. So yeah, that's my sort of go-to sort of source, really, I guess.
Cool. It's a different one. I've not had that before, so that's a good. You're doing well with these answers. I like them. What advice would you give for anybody trying to get into triathlon, and anybody who's in well, not just triathlon, multisport? And what advice would you give anybody wanting to get into age group?
I think save up as much money as you can, probably, before you start. Like you said, it is expensive, isn't it? Get some sponsors, get down your local leisure centre. But I think enjoy it. I think that is what I've tried to do throughout. I think you just go and enjoy it, and that's what I tell people. I've got a few friends that have sort of started, and I'm just trying to encourage them to join the local club, even if it's a running club and a cycling club, or a swim club, a cycle club and a run club, or one or two of them if they can, just to get training with other people. And a lot of them you pay your membership. I know at Torbay Tri we pay our membership, and then our coaching is free. I know I have my separate coach, but I still like to go and train with, if they're like a family really, my local sort of tri club. So that helped me massively. Just focus on, you do this for enjoyment.
Absolutely, 100%.
But I do think there's a massive benefit in joining a local club.
I mean, there's nothing better, is there, than training with other people, you know.
Absolutely, there's always someone to chase, someone to hold off, isn't there? Someone to sort of measure yourself.
You and people giving you advice and support and all those stuff.
It's brilliant. I love the club element of it, and that's what kicked me on initially. From joining them, my journey's been quite sort of a quick one. But I think people enjoy training with other people more than going out on their own a lot of the time.
I think so. And what about age group?
The thing that made the difference for me was getting my coach. I think having that sort of knowledge, I was quite lucky, I think, with how mine came about. I met Phil. Our paths probably would have crossed at some point. I just happened to meet him at a race. But yeah, I think the advice and the knowledge that he's got has absolutely helped me massively. And seeing the other athletes that he's taken on since I've been working with him and seeing how they've progressed, I think that's the best thing you can do, really.
I mean, lots of the guys that I've had on, they've all pretty much said the same. I mean, there's a few of us that aren't coached as such, but yeah, they've all said they've come on so much.
I think some guys maybe can qualify and do it without a coach. There's guys that I know that don't have a coach but can still qualify. I think someone like me who's not been in the sport that long or came to it quite late, I think having that knowledge is like massive, definitely.
100%. So finally then, what are your short and long-term goals?
Well, initially it's to get around Sunday without falling off my bike. So short term, it will be to, I guess, coming up to get these qualification spots for next year. I'd like to race European and Worlds next year if I can. So hopefully I can get that done and dusted by sort of June. And then ideally, I'm pushing the goal I agreed with Phil at the start of the year was to push for a top 10 finish in Bilbao.
Sure.
So that is still my really.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to improve, get a new 5K PB. That's something that it's been a while. I did run one in Spain, but I would like to go to just a specific. I think I'm targeting this one in Cardiff in May.
Okay.
I think it's May. So yeah, I'd like to go there and run a 5K PB. And yeah, if I can scrape into the top 10 in Bilbao, that would be good. But I will be in different age category then, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, cool. And what about your longer term goals?
Long-term goals, I guess just to keep qualifying, just keep enjoying it, and just see how. Really, I think that was the appeal to Phil, was when I initially spoke to him, was that I still don't think I've sort of fulfilled my potential yet. I don't know how far I can go. So just to keep at it and see where it takes me. I'll definitely keep doing the qualifiers and keep going, hopefully to the championships. Just see where it takes me.
Excellent. Well, that's a great place to land it. Thank you ever so much. I'm sure, because you are relatively new to it, I'm sure there's going to be lots more to come. So we shall keep an eye out for what you're doing. What's your Instagram handle so we can look out for you?
My Instagram is Duathlon Dave.
Okay.
So right. Nice and simple, that one.
I'll look out for you and I'll follow you. So that'll be good.
Yeah, lovely. Cheers. Yeah.
Thank you ever so much for coming on and sharing your story.
I was worried when I came on that I wasn't going to have enough to talk about because my journey's been so short. I was thinking,
the thing is, it's a chat, isn't it? Right? And we're chatting about something. We're chatting about something we love. It's easy. It's simple. It's like you've always got to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we can all talk all day long about it if people would let us, wouldn't we?
Absolutely, yeah. Because we just love it, don't we? So that's the beauty of it. So brilliant. So thank you ever so much. I'm going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll probably see you at Clumber Park, hopefully.
Yes, hope so. Yeah, I'll be there.
We'll communicate over Instagram and hopefully a few of us will be there who've been on and we know, so we'll maybe meet up and get a photograph. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
So I hope all goes well the weekend and good luck with the training. And
cheers.
I'll see you soon.
Yeah, will do. Thanks,
Rich. Thank you ever so much. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
There from Dave. Thank you ever so much. Wasn't it ironic that I'd recorded this before I'd had a spill as well, and he'd come off his bike and damaged his shoulder. It seems to be everybody I speak to at the moment are either crashing or having some form of injury. I don't know whether I'm a Jonah at the minute. I don't know what's going on. So hopefully Dave's on the recovery now and he's on the mend and he gets to the races, and hope he's another one we can see up in Clumber Park, and get in touch. And all the best, Dave, with your racing, and stay fit, and hopefully we'll see you at Clumber Park, and I'm sure you'll smash it. And that's about it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Good luck once again to all those racing at the weekend, and don't forget we've also got the Age Group Multisport podcast Next Gen that's available. We're on episode 5 of following Aaron, Rosalind and Will in their journeys to qualify for Age Group next year. Unfortunately, like I said, a couple of the guys are injured at the moment, so get well soon, guys. But if you haven't heard the story so far, go back and give them a listen, and if you can help them anyway, I'm sure they'd really appreciate it. You'll find them on most social media, especially Instagram. And if you'd like to leave us a comment on Apple Podcast, you can follow us and review. A nice review would be great. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, because it allows us to get out to a wider audience. You can email us at agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at amp_1967. You can drop us a DM. If you want to get in touch, you want to share your story, if you're an age grouper, that would be great too. Always looking for new guests. You can find us on Facebook at AmpGB, and you can do the same. Just get in touch if you want. You can find us on Twitter at Age Group Multisport Podcast. You can find all of our previous episodes on YouTube with our own YouTube channel, and it's AmpGB. And you can also find them on our own website, which is agegroupmultisportpodcast.buzzsprout.com. And once again, thank you for tuning in and listening. I hope we've made this short period of time pleasurable. And if you've been training, I hope you've got through it and you've enjoyed the podcast as you go. And until next time, don't forget, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.